welcome to episode 3 of Pazzo TV. We have a bunch of nice stuff. I think it pretty much all came in the last couple of weeks, except for maybe that. And so what are we starting off with?
Well, right here we got an awesome book by William Butler Yeats, The Secret Rose, with a beautiful gilt-stamped boards and spine there. It's an early work of his. With some great intricacies in here. There's two people kissing, you can see at the top there. They're holding hands amidst all these brambles.
Is that like the Tree of Life? What is that?
It's like a distorted Tree of Life that's all brambles now.
Celticized.
And then with some soldier laying dead at the bottom. But it's a really nice copy. It's not some of his poetry, but it is still a nice early important edition of his, in a rare American New York imprint of it that makes it a little pricey at $950, but still well worth it for any Yeats enthusiast.
Well, it's all stories, huh? Because I mean, the early poetry is bad. So,
it is, yeah.
So it's you're not missing
he hadn't
much.
gotten his occult in him yet.
Yeah, he was one of those weird poets who got better as he got older instead of getting lamer. This is pretty fantastic. It's you got a little theater-themed boards. This is the first French edition of Shakespeare, the first time he was ever translated. It's 1746, and was an 8-volume set of the Théâtre Anglois. This is the first 4, which is Shakespeare, and it's interesting. He only really translates Richard III completely. The rest are sort of Bowdlerized, as Voltaire would have approved of, since he thought he was sort of a scurrilous writer. And inappropriate with his mind in the gutter. And the
John Grisham of his day wrote like 30 plays, just drivel.
He did, and a lot of them do end up really short, which I guess proves that if you take, the fart jokes out of Macbeth, you're not left with very much. So there's one complete, the 9 that are shortened and sort of cut to pieces with summaries in between, and then he just summarizes all the rest in 2-page summaries. But it's pretty rare. It wasn't until the 1770s that you had really a proper translation with the fart jokes kept in by Le Tournay. But it's nice. It's got a false imprint of London because nobody would have approved of it in Paris. It was too embarrassing. Although obviously it's not, the dirty stuff, which they liked in Paris. It was the potty humor.
The lowbrow.
Yeah.
French are highbrow humorists.
Yeah, they are.
Well, continuing with that theme, we have a French language 20th century edition of Voltaire's Candide. With these great, you can see there, hand-done watercolored illustrations to the front there, and then just tons of them throughout the book here. You can see there's pretty much almost every other page has some illustrations done really cleverly around the text there, doing some interesting typesetting with the illustrations and the text sort of folding around each other. So it's a nice edition. It's rare. It's a limited edition, and it comes with a nice collection of pacifist inscriptions to the previous owner. So
What year is it?
the year is,
Hey, here we go. It's 1900. I'm gonna say 1928, Dave. Which is the same day. We had some woodcut ones. This is just sort of a funny thing that you end up with in used bookstores. It's just a facsimile of a Goody Two-Shoes, which is an 18th century book, but it's inscribed to his oddship, W.M. Thompson, who was president of the Set of Odd Volumes, which was a British bibliophile society that was started by Bernard Quaritch, who still has a bookstore. Well, he's dead, but there's a bookstore called Quaritch.
he was one of the founding members too, right, himself?
He was one of the 6, and he was president in '83, we found out. It was founded in 1876. So it's sort of cool with the inscription there. And it's actually the guy who wrote the notes for it ended up being a member a year or 2 later. So Sort of a funny thing. It doesn't really make it worth a ton, but it's a curious thing.
Last piece I have here is a semi-ordinary but relatively nice copy of 20th century copy of Isaiah Thomas's History of Printing in a nice slipcase here, and just nice plain cloth binding. Isaiah Thomas was one of the really important first printers and publishers in America. So when he did his history of printing, published in 1810, he was keeping track of all the important things that were going to be being published in America. But what's interesting about this edition and all of the editions before it were that he intentionally left out every single Catholic printer in America, which is interesting when you're doing a reference work, because it sort of makes it invaluable, because there's a lot of
the opposite of it,
or unvaluable because there's a lot of information that's missing. Like Matthew Carey was one of the most important early printers in America, and did a ton of work out of Philadelphia, and it was just left out of here entirely. So it's still an important book, but not as important as we thought.
We don't know if he actually did it because they were Catholic, but that's what it said, and we're going to run with that, because it's a good story, and really, there's no justification for leaving Carey out of there. It's crazy. It would be like leaving Isaiah Thomas out of there. This is actually an Isaiah Thomas Bible we got here, 1802. It's the second Boston. It's nice. It's got some good warming. And then finally, this is Plots, and it's rebound a little bit, did a pretty nice job. History of the Plots and Crimes of the Great Conspiracy to Overthrow Liberty in America by John Smith Dye. Self-published 1866, and he proves that the southern landholders who were trying to keep slavery going actually killed Harrison and Taylor and attempted to kill Andrew Jackson and Buchanan. And it was John C. Calhoun who actually led the assault on Andrew Jackson. Pretty great paranoid stuff. It's the second edition. It's about 3 times as long as the first from 2 years earlier, which was Adder's Den or something. It's in Sabin, so I mean, people know about it. I don't know if it's been republished. Maybe Cornell, we saw it.
They did the original.
The original was
much
a lot
shorter.
shorter.
Only 130 pages. This is 300 or so.
It's pretty great, because it's sort of on the edge between righteous indignation about the South and slaveholding and all this terrible stuff, and total insanity, where he's convinced about that they wanted Millard Fillmore was the dupe of the Southern.
Although he did have that professor at the end there who he did have a number of believers in his cause.
Right, the guy who wasn't allowed to fix, who was it, Taylor, even though he'd been working on this machine that actually extracted venom.
Electromagnetically extracted poison.
It's great stuff for 1866. It's sort of like, you can see where people got the idea for like a wild wild. We're cutting in here because a customer invaded the studio. So rude. But that's it. See you later.
Episode 3 in the books. Stay tuned for episode 4.
Well said. We should do more cliffhangers.